Hello, everybody, and welcome to Running the Table, the podcast where we run through everything going on in the world of sports. And today we got an interesting episode because the NFL is a weird and crazy place. And in light of the events going on in this week's games, Antonio Brown is acting a fool again. So we're going to take a deep dive into what's wrong with Antonio Brown, because there's a long list of stuff that he's done to uncover, and it's mysterious how a potentially Hall of Fame career is now in doubt of even continuing. So, Tim, you thought that the next What's Wrong with video would be about a team because the first episode was about the Bears, but here we are.
Just makes sense, but once again,
what's wrong with Antonio Brown? Tim, you ready?
Let's run it.
All right, Antonio Brown, where do we begin? First, let's begin with the successes that he's had as a football player. He spent most of his career with the Steelers, 2010 from 2018, and in that time, he was arguably the best receiver of the 2010s. He made the Pro Bowl 7 times every single year from 2011 to 2018, with the exception of 2012. He made the first team All-Pro team 4 times in a row from 2014 to 2017. He won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year in 2020, and he was a part of the Hall of Fame All-2010s team, that all-decade team. In 12 professional seasons and 145 professional games, he has 925 catches. He's caught 66% of his targets for 12,265 receiving yards and 83 touchdowns. So obviously a very, very, very skilled player. However, there's a lot of baggage that comes with that, a laundry list of things that have occurred throughout the past 3 years, because he has spent 2010 to 2018 with the Steelers, but he spent time with 3 teams since then. In 2019, was traded to the Oakland Raiders, didn't even play a game for them before getting cut, signing with New England Patriots, playing 1 game for them, getting cut by them, and then in 2020 signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers until
today,
until just recently, where he quit on the Buccaneers. He basically quit. Some drama with Bruce Arians where he was benched and then he was told to get on the field and he refused. So he took off his shoulder pads, jersey, and shirt, and in the middle of the game, walked off. Deuces.
Tossed his gloves and towel and everything into the stands.
Tossed his crap into the stands, walked out of MetLife Stadium, grabbed a chauffeur, flew home alone. And in the post-game press conference, obviously, when somebody just does that, there are going to be questions. Bruce Arians, the head coach, says Antonio Brown is no longer a Buccaneer. Yikes.
Yeah, a lot of turn of events very quickly, with a lot of things throughout the day sort of shedding a little bit more light than we knew right away. Because we didn't know a whole lot of backstory when it originally happened. We see some videos and some headlines, and all of a sudden Antonio Brown is shirtless running around.
You're literally watching you're literally watching the Buccaneers and Jets, and the only reason you're watching the Buccaneers and Jets is because the Jets are at the time beating the Buccaneers, and then the camera just pans to a shirtless Antonio Brown walking out of the field, and you're just like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. And there's plenty of things that are leading into today, so it's going to be real interesting to see some of the reasoning that a lot of people take into consideration of what may or may not have caused to get to the point where we are today.
Right. So the full timeline is very, very, very hefty, and we will get to that. But first, I want to center on one key event that a lot of people on social media, on Twitter, are pointing to, that this was the event that changed everything. January 10th, 2016, the AFC wildcard game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals, Antonio Brown goes over the middle for a pass and gets absolutely clobbered by noted headhunter Vontaze Burfict, knocks him completely unconscious. It's probably the most brutal hit that I've seen. It was the most brutal hit that I saw at the time, and it ranks up there, even back in the days of when you're literally allowed to crack open receivers like a can of
Blindside
sardines
hits.
and just dump them.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, and Vontaze Burfict has not played an NFL game since playing with the Raiders a couple years ago, and he got suspended
It's
for,
been a while.
again, another dirty hit. Vontaze
Yeah.
Burfict is trending on Twitter. He is
He's
trending on
back.
Twitter. Yeah, back like he never left. And
Bring
people
out
are,
the Cam Newton. I'm back.
yeah, people are going, wow, Vontaze Burfict really knocked something loose in Antonio Brown because he ain't been right since.
And to be fair, they may or may not have a point, but it's once again, it's up to your discretion and opinion of, is this a more personality and style class issue between the
Exactly.
professional and casual career, or could this go a little bit deeper and be a bit more of a mental issue? And
Because
believe me, neither of us are doctors by any means, but it is interesting nonetheless to take a look at all of the potential options.
yeah, people like to point to the perfect hit because it's easy, it's obvious, it's clear. It was a head-to-head blow that sent Antonio Brown reeling back and knocked him out. But who knows? He had kind of concerns coming out of college when he was a receiver at Central Michigan. If you look at his scouting report, the negatives, you have things like concentration lapses, prima donna attitude, doesn't like to work, character concerns, and things like that were part of the reason why he was a 6th-round pick even to begin with, because he was an All-American punt returner, very skilled. People forget that Antonio Brown was very good at returning kicks and punts. But things like that knocked Antonio Brown almost completely off of teams' draft boards. It's why the Pittsburgh Steelers were able to scoop him in the 6th round. And as a rookie, he was almost cut from training camp because he didn't put in the time and the effort to even learn the darn playbook.
Yeah.
He didn't know the playbook going in. And that is just one of so many things on the field and off that has gone wrong in Antonio Brown's career and life.
So you can see the signs were there from the beginning. It's
Mhm.
once again, and it's also very much a possibility that it can be a combination of both. Because one of the things that you pointed out is up until that hit and a little bit after it, I mean, Antonio Brown was still an amazing wide receiver, despite those previously noted character flaws. He still learned plays. He learned the game. He learned how to succeed at an extremely high level as an NFL wide receiver. So can you really point to just those reasons as to what turned him to do so many sort of what I would call out of pocket behaviors?
You can definitely
As his
call his
career continues.
behaviors out of pocket, and it's an interesting hypothetical to look at. You know, it's definitely the quick and easy route for people that just want to point to one thing and don't really want to do the research into what the heck went wrong and just go, oh, perfect hit, knocked him silly, hasn't been right since. But then again, the saga of things that he's gone through since, I mean, multiple legal allegations against him and different various shenanigans, like when he was traded to the Raiders, he got in a cryotherapy chamber and that went wrong, so he had frostbite on his feet going into
Just wear the
training
right
camp.
shoes. You're a professional athlete. Like,
He
I think
attacked
you
a
know.
driver of a moving truck. he I think he threw a bike at somebody.
There's a whole lot that
Yeah, I
there's so
mean,
many questions and not enough answers, because you can look at all of these and attribute them to so many different issues. But I mean, like you talked about, multiple legal issues in terms of, there was one, he was found guilty of reckless driving. You
mhm.
have the sexual assault allegations that it was
multiple
what got him, yes,
multiple
multiple allegations plural, and that's of course what cut him from the
why I got cut from the
Patriots.
Patriots.
Yeah. So it's like, in some ways you see a lot of people that make headlines not being professional athletes with these similar issues. So
You
you
know,
can't
like
you can say
like
that
Florida man beats up shark in jet ski accident. I don't know. I'm
yeah,
making up something, but you get the point. A lot of ordinary people do stupid things.
yeah.
But to
So
have such a high profile athlete like Antonio Brown repeatedly make headlines and act the way he's acting, it begs the question. And like, why is he still getting multiple chances? Because he has now exited out of his fourth NFL team in the last 3 years. And people like Tom Brady has gone to bat for him twice. First with the Patriots, he's like, hey, go get AB. I want him on the team. And then next with the Buccaneers, hey, go get AB. This guy can help us. So even
yeah,
though he's acting the way he's acting, he still
his
gets
talent
multiple
is still
chances.
worth a lot to a lot of
Exactly.
different guys and a
And
lot of different teams.
and when he does these things, it's always the headlines. Is Antonio Brown done in the NFL? Is this has he,
Has he
wasted
played
his
his last
welcome?
game?
Yeah. Has he
Yeah.
played his last game in professional football? And the answer has been, oh, he's signed with another team. He's signed with another team. But if you look at his body of work in his first 9 seasons, he did such amazing things for the Steelers, was building a first ballot, no doubt, Hall of Fame career. And if you look at the past 2 years when he's played complete games with the Buccaneers, he has very much still got the talent. He still has the
Absolutely.
juice that made him the NFL's most
He
feared wide
showed
receiver.
literally in this game. I saw a clip. He had one, I want to say it was maybe 5-10 minutes before this incident from today, where he absolutely just cooked a Jets cornerback on a route, had him turning around literally 3 separate times. So he very much still has the ability to play football at a very high level. The problem is, can he ever keep himself out of trouble either legally or with his personality issues and how they clash with a professional career? Can he ever keep himself out of that issue long enough to put together a valuable season or time with a team that people are able to overlook some of these things to try to keep him there, because he hasn't shown enough clearly where teams are going to be willing to look past these antics and try to put up with him. And there was one thing I saw that a lot of people give Mike Tomlin a lot of credit for.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't hear nearly as much. I assure you that in those 8 or so years that he was with the Steelers, that it was not all sunshine and rainbows. They probably had to put up with a lot, and you got to give that team and that coaching staff a lot of credit for putting up with whatever antics they had to deal with to get the results out of him that they did. And they were
The crazy thing about all these antics that we have mentioned previously, that doesn't even like scrape the bottom of the barrel. We
no,
missed a lot of things.
there's
Like
so many things in this
for
timeline.
example, earlier this year, he was suspended for faking his vaccination card in the middle of a global pandemic. How
Yep.
stupid can you be? There, like the list goes on and on and on. And he keeps getting these chances because the talent level is so darn high. But when is enough enough?
Yeah. And I would like to say, so for anyone who is watching this, Drew, I'd like you to go through the complete list to just hear in order just how many things has happened over the course of his 10-year career or so, because
Uh,
this will take a while.
yeah, 12,
This will take
12
some time.
seasons. 12 seasons in the NFL. He was drafted in 2010. Most of these come in 2019 or later. So how quickly these things
It's
have
just been
dealt.
exponential takeoff of issues.
All right. Well, let's run the table of
I'm
all
gonna
of the things that he
I'm gonna
had.
sit back and just take all this in.
All right. January 10th, 2016, brutal Vontez Burfict hit. And Vontez Burfict is trending on Twitter for that very same hit. December 30th, 2018, Antonio Brown is benched by the Steelers. February 5th, 2019, Antonio Brown is involved in a domestic dispute, and he is eventually found guilty of reckless driving. February 19th, 2019, Steelers agree to trade Antonio Brown. March 10th, 2019, Raiders acquire Antonio Brown for a 3rd and a 5th round pick. Oh, how the Steelers washed out like bandits, because the Raiders eventually cut AB, but not after some more shenanigans. Antonio Brown signed a 3-year, $50 million extension with $30 million guaranteed, so the Raiders, obviously a big financial commitment. August 3rd, 2019, cryotherapy accident causes frostbite at Antonio Brown's feet. He can't participate in training camp. August 9th, 2019, the NFL banned Antonio Brown's preferred helmet, and that caused problems that took a month to resolve, including Antonio Brown threatening to retire and complaining like a little baby the whole time. September 5th, 2019, he skipped work and fought GM Mike Mayock. You fought your boss verbally, and then you aired it out
on social media.
September 7th, 2019, the Patriots released Antonio Brown, in which he posted a video on social media dancing and singing, "I'm free!" That very same day, the New England Patriots signed Antonio Brown. 3 days later, September 10th, 2019, Antonio Brown is sued for sexual assault. September 20th, 2019, Patriots have cut Antonio Brown after just 1 game of playing. January of 2020, Antonio Brown is arrested for attacking a driver of a moving truck. July 30th, 2020, Antonio Brown is suspended 8 games for that prior incident. October 23rd, 2020, the Buccaneers signed Antonio Brown. December 2nd, 2020, Antonio Brown is suspended for supplying the fake vaccination card. That was about a month ago, 2021. I apologize. December 27th, 2021, Antonio Brown quotes to the media, "You guys," meaning the media, "it's all drama. It's all about football. If we're not talking about this week's opponent, then I don't want to talk to you guys." And January 2nd, 2021, Antonio Brown takes off his jersey, quits on the Bucs in the middle of the game versus the Jets, and in the post-game press conference, head coach Bruce Arians goes, "Antonio Brown is no longer a Buck."
It's a mouthful. It's a handful. He is a handful.
How long was that?
Too long. One of the things that I would like to point out, and we may find out more about this in the coming days,
Yes.
because obviously this just happened. But there has been a lot of talk about what happened today that caused this sort of meltdown, I will say.
And we went over it earlier. There's a lot, between
one of the very specific
Antonio Brown's incentives, which I think is a stupid reason. He was about 8 catches, 50 some yards, and a touchdown away from earning $1 million in bonuses.
It was
Bruce
8
Arians wanted to
catches,
sit him because the Buccaneers
56
didn't
yards,
want to,
I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Bruce Arians decided to sit him because the Buccaneers did not want to pay him, which I think is stupid, because a couple plays later, Bruce Arians told him to get back out there twice, in which both times Antonio Brown said no. And then Bruce Arians said, "All right, if you don't want to play, then get the hell out." And then Antonio Brown did just that, causing today's
in very dramatic fashion. But as I was saying, the one thing that I can't seem to get past right now is what causes a guy who in all things, he was having a relatively successful game. I mean, they were down. You would think they'd be motivated to try to get back in the game, and lo and behold, they did. What causes?
They ended up winning the game. They ended up being more productive without him.
Yeah, which is a little bit of a wild thought. But what causes a guy to reject his coach's wishes to go back into the game? You're a professional athlete. Like, I'd imagine, like,
again,
Antonio Brown has been in the league
he
long,
has
this
fought
long.
His boss.
Yeah, but like Antonio Brown has been in this league long enough. You have to believe that, like, he has to love this game to an extent. No one does a career, especially a career as taxing as playing professional football, getting some of those injuries, those hits that he took, like the perfect hit, for this long without like the love of the game. So what spawns that? That desire to say no and not go back in the game, and then once again run off the field. There may have been more things behind closed doors, maybe going into this week or throughout the season,
but we don't know that.
Because one thing to point out as well is the fact that Bruce Arians earlier this year, when they signed Antonio Brown, basically said he was going to, in other words, that he was going to keep him on a short leash.
One screw up and you're done.
Exactly. One screw up and you're done was his words exactly. And then, of course, earlier on this year, you have the vaccination card incident. So he was definitely already on.
Well, here's the thing about that, Tim. I think the Buccaneers let it slide because they needed
because they
Antonio
really
Brown.
needed
Because
him.
look at the long list of injuries that the Buccaneers have sustained over the past couple weeks. Chris Godwin lost for the year. Leonard Fournette put on IR. Mike Evans was on the COVID list.
Yeah.
Gronk has been battered up, right? And when Antonio Brown was the main receiver, he went for 10 catches and 100 some odd yards, and he had a brilliant game. And it's like, oh my goodness, Antonio Brown is back, even though the talent was already there. So what causes any of this? I have no idea. So that leads me to ask, where do we go from here? What is next for Antonio Brown? Because there have been multiple times where we said, all right, this is Antonio Brown's last chance. And then the talent level overrides all of the off-field and some of the on-field issues and causes him to get signed by another team. So is this actually it for Antonio Brown in the NFL?
For me, all signs want to point to yes, but the problem is that there are so many desperate teams out there, and we have seen this from the NFL as a league, especially before. And one specific example I'd like to point out is the Josh Gordon saga. The fact that
That's
he
a
is
great
still in
point.
this league after everything that he has been through with multiple teams and many different issues, when a guy has the talent and he's still of the age to where teams think that they can be the ones that get the right leash on him, that can control the craziness, they're willing to, for at least some amount of money, try to harness all of that talent and get positive outcome. And you can see the Buccaneers did that for a while.
Well, Tim, it's like that girl with the guy who's just a little bit off of his rocker. I'm gonna date him. I can fix him, and then the relationship goes bad, and then you realize,
it's the classic
no,
I
you
can
can't.
fix him. It's
Yes,
the
it is
classic
the classic I can fix him situation.
But it's professional. It's in the professional sports world.
Yeah.
So I would like to say that this is the last straw, because you could see, in my opinion, at least going into the season, I thought if anybody could, with the presence of Tom Brady, talk about one of the best mentors that you could have in the world of professional football, a coach like Bruce Arians, and them giving him this shot, especially Tom Brady, not once but twice, as you pointed out, I thought that if any team could possibly control him to enough extent to at least have him in a positive role on their team, that it would be Bruce Arians and the Bucs. So it's like, with this not working out, is there any other, what I would call like veteran-based coaching staff and team that could control him? And all signs point to no, but do I think someone else is going to give him a shot? Quite possibly, yes. I think the big question mark that could change that is the ongoing legal situation with him, because as far as I'm aware, some of those sexual assault allegation cases, that's not necessarily over, is it?
I don't
I'm
really
not
know.
particularly aware. We
I'm
haven't
not
heard anything
particularly
about
sure.
it.
I
We
haven't
haven't
really
heard
heard
about it in a
about
while,
any.
but
It's
I can't
yeah.
imagine
Then
that that's
again, like
over.
these sexual assault cases were a year ago, 2 years
Yeah.
ago. So I mean, it's been a long and
You can
crazy
always
ride.
have random advances here and there. You can see exactly why Deshaun Watson's case is still big question mark, why things haven't advanced from there despite the amount of time spent looking into that.
I
So
mean,
I think
I think that's either here nor there. And with a lot of those points, I agree with you. That all of the long list of stuff that has gone on with him and just on the field and off the field, all that should point to this being his last chance in the NFL. But then again,
we've been here
there
before.
are some teams out there that really need a wide receiver, potentially for a
Especially of that
playoff
caliber.
run or a Super Bowl run.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe the Chicago Bears because of Allen Robinson and Darnell Mooney, AB to the Bears.
They're not even in playoff contention.
I don't know. The Bears
They
are
have zero reason to.
the Bears are stupid enough. They can do something like that, but that's beside the point. Anyways, I think that's going to wrap it up. That's all really we have on the Antonio Brown saga. It's been a long and winding road and a crazy 3 years for him on and off the field. You know, will Antonio Brown continue his NFL career with another team, or is this it for him? Who knows? Stay tuned. But But until next time, we have another What's Wrong video coming out. What's wrong with the Minnesota Vikings? Because we don't know what's going on with them. They should be a lot better than they actually are because they have a ton of talent, but they're not. Who knows? But stay tuned for that. And until next time, we out.